What we have here is a 1949 Kenworth. This truck was bought in the early 1950s by my great-grandfather, who at the time was one of the largest landowners in the state of Washington. This truck spent most of its life hauling cattle. A lot of journeys it made. One of the main trips it made was from from Tonasket, Washington to Seattle. When this truck was originally purchased, it was powered by a 220 Cummins. And my father, who in the early 50s was just a young boy, remembers the trip from Tonasket to Seattle taking 14 hours, where today, if you were to drive in your car, it's a little over a 4-hour trip. He said at times he felt like he could get out and run faster than they were traveling. The truck spent most of its life with a cattle pot on the truck, and they would pull another 34-foot pup trailer behind it. After it was retired as a cattle truck, my uncle took on the truck and used it for several years, hauling different things. He used it mostly in the end of its working life to haul his excavator and wheel loader for the excavation business that he ran. This truck hasn't run since the early 2000s. I took ownership of the truck as a gift from my aunt in 2017 and began the process of restoring it. So far, the things I've done is, one, getting one of these things running from that long took a while. Then I started on the interior, because I knew if I waited to do the interior till the end of the project, I'd never get it done. So I started with the interior, and the paint theme of this interior is pretty much going to be the primary colors when I get to painting the truck. When I first started this process, this truck was a mess. One of these days I'll post pictures of what that looked like. But I've got this green, emerald green, metallic gray combination that I'm really quite fond of. My ultimate goal with this truck is to not make a show truck, although I'm sure it'll end up in a show or two, but this will be my primary cattle hauling truck. I've got a small cattle ranch, and I use a 43-foot aluminum stock trailer that will ultimately be this truck's primary job. The things I've done to it so far, like I said, getting it running was no undertaking, small undertaking. I rewired it from front to back, because when you touch the insulation on the wires, it just would disintegrate. So I did that. I restored the interior. I haven't decided if I'll put an interior kit in it or just leave it as it is, because it is going to primarily be a work truck. It's got its original walking beam suspension, and it is rough, especially with these old tires. It really hops. So it's one of my future projects is to get some new tires on it. It just got back from Northwest Truck and Salvage in Yakima, Washington. They rebuilt the Cummins engine, which originally, like I said, was a 220. Then it was repowered to a 290, and now it currently has a 335 Cummins NTC 335. However, I had it rebuilt to Cummins 380 spec, so they added aftercooler, new manifold, complete in-frame, It's been gone all the way through. I've only driven it just a little bit. Runs good, idles good, seems to have good power. When they repowered it, I had them install a 13-speed transmission so that it's more usable for my trailer, because even at 380 horse, this still will be worked pretty hard with a total grossing weight of over 70,000 pounds. I had them leave the 3-speed Brownie, mostly for nostalgic purposes, but I imagine that I will have some advantages to being able to use it down the road. I haven't spent a lot of time driving it, so I'm not 100% sure how that will all work out. But I know the 13 speed is going to help me out a great deal. The future plan for this truck this year, my goal is to get all the airlines repaired so that I can safely use it as my primary truck. Once that's completed, my goal is to paint the frame, which will be black. As soon as I've painted the frame black, my next goal will be to fully paint the engine. They started on it, but it's not a complete job, so I'll finish that. Then my goal is to paint the truck a pearl white, and then paint the fenders the same color emerald green that's in the interior, and paint the other accessories such as this oil bath, air cleaner, emerald green, and a few other pieces, and I think it's really going to pop. I really love that emerald green. And then the truck will pretty much be done. If anybody that ever sees this could give me any advice on where to find or who might be able to help me either repair or build a new one of these grills, I would appreciate it. That's the one piece I'm really scratching my head on. I think probably my gut instinct at this point is to build one myself out of stainless, which may look pretty sharp, but if anybody knows of one anywhere that doesn't have these dents, I would love to see it, or to buy it potentially. Or if anybody has a restorer, somebody that could take those dents out, or somebody that could build one, I'd love the advice. Well, I guess I can get in here and start it up for you guys, let you hear how it sounds. It's got a 3-stage Jake. Another look at the interior here from the driver's perspective. These dash decals were a lot of fun to restore. It was challenging, but I really appreciate how they turned out. Looks good, I think. I'm gonna have to set you down here for a second so that I can pull the decompression lever and hit the start button at the same time. It's about 40 degrees here and it starts right up nice and smooth. Idles nice at about 650 RPMs. It's cold now, but at operating speed it runs with about 70 PSI of oil. And when it's good and warm, it idles around 25 PSI, which I believe to be in spec. Like I said, it's a nice running motor. Sounds good. It's got that traditional Cummins sound. As you can see, the exhaust burns nice and clean. I didn't really want it to smoke. That's not really my thing. Like I said, I want this to be a work truck, a usable work truck. I don't want it loud, I don't want it blingy, but I want it mechanically sound and I want it nice. As I finish more stuff on this, I'll post up what I've done and what I've completed, and hopefully within the next year to 2 years, she'll be what I consider 100% finished.